Everybody, how you doing? This video, I'm going to walk through the syllabus for our distance learning introduction to poetry class. So if you go to our homepage here, you see my introductory video. The syllabus is right here on the homepage under Get Started Syllabus. So you click on that, and here we go. English 1220-001 Introduction to Poetry. Now, I mostly teach literature and poetry here, and I always like to thematize my courses. I like put a theme on them, and that's the lens we'll read all of our poems through. I'm calling this class Hunger Artists, and I'm going to explain that in a moment down here. There's my name, Charles Kell. You can just call me Charles. My email, office. If you ever want to meet on campus, those are the times I'm usually there. If you want to set up a Zoom meeting to talk about the class, the poems, or any of the assignments, let me know and we could do that. Here is the course description from the university. The purpose of this course is to deepen the students' engagement with the metaphorical nature of language through understanding and enjoyment of poetry. The selection of poems focuses on what poetry means and does, what needs and desires poetry fulfills in its writers and readers, and the cultural context and conditioning that define poetry, and place value on its existence. This class is a distance learning, remote asynchronous, which means we will not be meeting. I'll be posting a number of videos. I'm still working on some videos that walk the class through the lessons and assignments. It's your responsibility to watch and take notes. Even though we're not meeting, the course syllabus will structure the class based on Mondays and Wednesdays. I think that's a good guide so we can replicate as much as an in-person class as possible. And this will help balance where you should be and when you should be completing the readings and assignments on time. Everything is located on Blackboard. You need to keep up with the readings, know what's going on, have comfortability with Blackboard, navigating that, etc. There's no required books for the class. The entire class and the readings will be available on weekly sessions on our Blackboard page. So here's my description of the course, my theme. Late in Franz Kafka's short story, A Hunger Artist, the supervisor asks the hunger artist why he continues to hunger, and he replies, quote, "Because," said the hunger artist, raising his haggard head a little and whispering with puckered lips as though preparing for a kiss directly into the supervisor's ear, so that he would not miss a word, "because I could not find a dish I liked. Had I found it, believe me, I would not have made a fuss, but would have eaten my fill, the same as you or anyone else." Those were his last words, and the broken look in his eyes bespoke the firm, albeit chastened conviction that he was still hungering. I love Kafka, and I love this short story. I'm going to ask you all, what does it mean to hunger or to be hungry? And I'm not simply speaking like literally, I'm hungry because I haven't eaten, but think of like metaphysical, philosophical, spiritual, psychological, emotional. In what ways do we hunger? How are poets hungry or hungering? How are the poets on our syllabus hungry? What do they want? What are they hungering for? What are we hungering for when we make the difficult decision to read poems or to read and or write anything at all? We're looking for something, right? And I'm following this with my description of reading here. Reading is an always ongoing process where we encounter others, the world, and ourselves. Reading literature and poetry, then, I argue, is to encounter alterity or otherness, that which is different. You can think of differences in all of its manifestations. That's why I use the big philosophical world alterity there. You can think of identity, sexual, monetary, religious, education, age, ability, all those differences. I think that's the reason to read and encounter otherness. Through these different lenses in literature, we brush up against various alterities which could enable us to see how others live and in some way give us a sense of how we live. What does poetry do? What is poetry? What do you want from poetry? In this course, we will examine these questions as well as concentrate on reading a diverse body of poems from many different people. Some of the learning outcomes that we will be hitting 1, display a working knowledge of poetry as a literary genre. 2, identify and describe distinct characteristics of poetic forms. We'll be spending time looking at the sonnet, the villanelle, various poetic forms. 3, analyze poetic works for their structure and meaning using correct terminology. 4, write analytically about poetry using MLA guidelines. 5, effectively communicate ideas related to poetic works during class. So those are things we'll be doing. You can skip the attendance because we're online, and you can gloss over my policies here. One thing's important. Let's be mindful of each other's time. Make sure you look at Blackboard for any specific information before you just randomly email me, when's a paper due. All the due dates, everything we're covering is going to be available on our Blackboard course. All right, so here is what you're concerned with, the grading policy. I always base my courses off of 1,000 points. It's easy to gauge your grade. If you end up with 940 points, you have a 94%, right? Here's how the grades are breaking down. Attendance, participation. Obviously, we're not meeting in person. I'm putting these points here for basically, turning your work in on time. If you turn your work in on time and follow the guidelines, you'll get these points. The big money from our class are these discussion boards. There'll be discussion boards that are worth 350 points. I'm going to make a separate video that walks through them in detail. And then we have 3 papers. Paper 1, 150, paper 2, 175, and paper 3, 200 points. 3 shorter papers. That's the course. Discussion boards and 3 short papers. That's what we'll be doing. There's no quizzes, no exams, none of that stuff. If you need accommodations, contact the DSS. The structure of our class and our readings will be based upon different themes that branch out from the Hunger Artist idea. A few of the themes, for example, will be family, desire, social, society, war, identity, deviancy, experimentation, etc. We will have a section on ekphrastic poetry, which is poetry about art. Our poems will span contemporary works back to mid-20th century and even earlier. We will read many different poems from different people. And I'm not going to walk you through each day of the course syllabus, but this is how the syllabus is set up, right? Here's the syllabus. So you're going to read these poems and essays for these days, and that's how it is. And all these poems, all these essays will be available on Blackboard under weekly sessions. So let me show you that. So you go to weekly sessions, and week 1, there's the poems. And some poems I'll have videos where I close read them and walk through. I'll still be posting those throughout the semester. There's me reading C.D. Wright's Tours. So the weekly sessions closely mirror the course schedule. All the poems, everything we're reading will be available on these weekly sessions that follow throughout the course. So if you have questions about anything, if you have trouble finding a poem or finding something, please email me. If you want to talk further about something, email me and I'll set up a meeting. So close read the syllabus. Let me know if you have questions, and good luck in the class, everybody.